Thank you for your infinite love, guidance, and protection, Spirit. Please use me as a conduit of light to deliver this message to whoever needs to hear it. All right, we have prepare for change. Change is the only constant. Prepare for it and with an open heart and mind. And we also have recognize relational wounds. Not every scar came from cruelty. Some came from absence, silence, or unmet needs. Name what hurt you. So right now we're really in this period of healing. There's a lot of even darker energies right now, but not dark in the sense that it has to be this horrible thing. It just has to be this recognition of what has hurt you. And sometimes it's not so obvious. Sometimes it's not this physical abuse, right? Or sometimes it's not this somebody's projecting and yelling at you. Sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it's in our childhoods, our parents never said, I love you. But everything seemed normal. It seemed like all my needs were being met. My physical needs were being met. I had a roof over my head. We had dinner every day. There wasn't like any crazy things going on behind closed doors, but it was sometimes for a lot of people that trauma is the neglect. It's the emotional neglect that their parents didn't receive when they were children. So then they learn to grow up and have this kind of cold, closed off environment, but also confusingly traditional and maybe somewhat like it seems like it's okay, but there's a lot of things missing that nobody really notices because we always kind of just like go with the flow. And if there is something emotional to talk about, we kind of sweep it under the rug. We'll give each other a quick hug. Someone passes away, but get over it quickly, that kind of thing. And you were never fully seen. You were never fully like, you come home from school and somebody genuinely can notice, like your mom or your dad can notice that the energy was off with you. So they're like, hey, what happened that day? And then you have this open discussion about maybe you got bullied at school that day. It's like these type of wounds in childhood that seem so hard to notice, very subtle. Okay, we have thrive and believe, embrace growth and trust and promise. Keep an open mind. Answers reveal the path of fulfillment. And this is just reiterating that there's change coming. And we don't know exactly what that change is, but we just have to have an open heart and an open mind that Spirit knows exactly where we need to be next. That the universe is not going to throw you some curveball. Like I think when we have been through a lot, we're like anticipating the worst thing to happen. And that's not like the energy we want to be putting out. We want to put out an energy of we're anticipating good things to happen, right? And when we've been through a lot, it's really hard. It's hard not to just trust people, but to trust life, to trust that the next thing that happens to us is going to be something that is good. Like that we're on that path of coming into what will be this satisfying, fulfilling timeline to be on. And sometimes it's hard to trust that because we hold on to these wounds because it's very hard to recognize them sometimes. It's hard. And then, sometimes you could confront a parent or as an adult, you confront your parent and they'll either act like they have no idea what you're talking about, be in complete denial, or be like, what? Like, we were always there for you. We always, so it's like you can't even take that avenue because people are who people are. And a lot of times there's not a lot of expansion and change unless they come to terms with the spaces in their life that they need to expand, right? Which for most people, it's not really a lot in one lifetime unless they're, like one of us on this ascension journey and really recognizing, whoa, this happened to me. Therefore, that's how I'm showing up in my environment. And so I can choose to show up in a different way. And I have to learn how to rewire my brain in order to become a different person, in order to put out different energy into the universe to manifest this different result. But I've always learned this certain energy and frequency to be on, and it's hard to get off that old timeline of the identity of who I was before. And it's because of these subtle wounds. Maybe they're not even subtle. Like a lot of us had subtle wounds and wounds that weren't so subtle. And both are very, very probably complex things to work through. So in order to rewire your subconscious mind, it's so important to get quiet and spend some time with yourself in order to get into that space where you can hear spirit. So you know like what that intuitive nudge is in order to know where you're going next. Walking unscathed. You were fortunate. A trap was laid, but your wisdom kept you from falling into it. So maybe your discernment is really on point lately. Maybe it's really on point. And you know what? If that trap was laid and you kind of, in order to discern it, you kind of like fed into it a little bit, but you didn't fully commit to whatever somebody was trying to manipulate you into, you have your discernment on point right now because you've done enough healing where you're like, that's not for me anymore. Like I recognize that red flag with that family member or with that person I'm talking to or for that relationship I am or that ex who's trying to reach out. Like I recognize that red flag, and maybe you'll sit there and you'll try to read the situation for a minute, feed into the conversation for a second, but you quickly realize, because your discernment is on point now, that isn't for you. And then if you want to move and expand into this new timeline of the higher version of you, that you're not gonna feed into that. You're gonna recognize and have discernment, and you're gonna walk unscathed also because you're so highly protected. Because you've been walking in integrity, you've been doing the healing work. You have this urge to serve in whatever capacity the universe brought you here to serve in. And that's such a beautiful thing. And you just have to go with it. Just go with it. Embrace spontaneity and trust the journey, remaining open to the unexpected twists and turns along the way. Absolutely. And when you have discernment and you don't allow all that crap and manipulation and those people who are going to keep you in lower timelines, when you have that discernment and you don't keep falling into the loops of trauma bonds and all that kind of stuff, you're able to expand and just go with it and flow with the universe. And I love that. I love that. It's so necessary in order to expand and move into a higher version of you. Because you have to let go of your old identity. You have to let go of the old ways of being. You might have felt a little bit entrapped in a way in an old situation, especially with family wounds. Probably a mother wound. Around summertime. Something's going to happen around summer, which is crazy because we're in fall. We just ended summer. Or maybe it just happened. Whatever this was, it might have blown up around summertime. Whatever that entrapment that you were feeling, because you weren't getting any reciprocation. This person was showing up at the bare minimum. If it was a relationship, this person was showing up as bare minimum effort, no reciprocation, and you were starting to lose interest. And every single time it would come back around, whether this is a family member giving the bare minimum effort, a lot of times parents, they don't show up for their kids as kids emotionally in their childhood. They're not going to show up for them in their adulthood. But if you're still hanging on to that wound, you'll still feel that urge to want them to be who they aren't, your parent. You'll want them to still show up. You'll still resent them for not showing up. You'll still get on the phone with your friend and express how it hurts you that they don't show up. But once you get to this certain space of healing, you accept people for who they are and you understand why they don't show up. You don't take it personally, but you set those boundaries. So instead of trying to fill your time with forcing them to show up, forcing yourself in their lives and then getting disappointed, giving them another chance and getting disappointed, you learn to set healthy boundaries and direct that energy of like where you want to put your energy back into yourself instead of on this past trauma, this situation. And sometimes that shows up with your interaction with your parents. Sometimes, and it will also show up in your relationships if you still have that, if you're still hanging on to that wound. If your parent did not fulfill you in an emotional way and fill your emotional needs as a child, you're probably going to pick a partner who didn't fill your emotional needs, who gave you the bare minimum and was like, what? I'm going to work every day. I pay the bills, you know, I do some chores around the house. Like I'm doing these things, but it's like your emotional needs are constantly neglected and they can't quite understand what the hell you're trying to say. They just want to call you a complainer, or they want to project their lack of wanting to understand it onto you. And it's like they don't even know. They don't know. And you can try to reword it and rephrase it and explain it in a million different ways. And if they're not ready to hold that information based off of where they are on their frequency and their healing journey, they're not going to be able to hold it. So if you want to expand into this new timeline, you have to let go of those things. You have to set those healthy boundaries with parents or in old relationships or in relationships you're in now, so you can move forward and expand into reciprocal relationships with people who will put in the same amount of energy that you are, with people who will have a healthy conversation. If they won't ghost you or neglect you or abandon you in any way. They'll have an adult conversation and sit with you and say, look, like, I know you feel this way. This is how I feel. And there's this reciprocation and respect. If somebody doesn't need space because they're overwhelmed, say that. Right? And there's a emotional maturity in that. That is part of being emotionally mature, coming forward in a calm way and having an adult conversation. And wouldn't we be amazed how many people in this world cannot do that? Most people go straight victim mode and project and don't want to come together. They want to be right. They don't want to come together. They want to keep doing the things they're doing and for you to be okay with it, right? And we got into this point on our spiritual journey where we're done being okay with things we're not okay with, right, guys? We respect ourselves way too much to be putting up with things like that. Let's see. Oh, there it is. My body carries wisdom that my mind sometimes forgets. What a beautiful reminder. You know what this brings to me right now? It reminds me that we are not this avatar that we came in here as. We are not this character. We're the soul that's using this character in order to expand in this specific timeline in this reality. But our soul has been incarnated so many times before, and in each of those incarnations, we've expanded and we've grown, we've learned wisdom and skills, etc. And at any point in time, when we tune into ourselves and get connected to our highest self, we can tap into all those lifetimes and bring that wisdom forward and be able to use those skills and that wisdom now in order to expand in our own individual lives and shine that light so others can do the same. And that's exactly what we came here for. But these old trauma loops and things that we've been working through, like, those are kind of like holding us back from shining as brightly as we could. But that's okay, because that's where we're at on our journey, and there's no judgment in that. But in the same breath, recognition of the fact that we can do this and using that as motivation to move forward from these trauma bonds and situations that we've and trauma that we've undergone in our lifetime and lifetimes, in order to be able to access that information on a more regular basis. So your default frequency is actually pretty high. So you can tap into those skills and that information at any time in order to use it in whatever way the universe needs to co-create with you in this time-space reality. Okay, that's too many. There's a lot of clearing going on right now. A lot of clearing. A change for the better. See, I love this. And it's that transformation. A change for the better, the butterfly. Absolutely. These cards are a little sticky. And there are changes to go. We have to use our discernment so we're able to, every time some type of manipulation from whatever those demons you carry. We all carry demons, and those are our generational curses. Those are our trauma bonds. Those are our loops of trauma, whatever that trauma may be for you. And once the more conscious you are of what your trauma is, the more able you are to recognize it when it comes up, so you can make a different decision. And after you make that different decision every time it comes up, that's how you rewire your brain. That's how you rewire your subconscious. Okay, we have Earth Mother. Feel loved and comforted. Spirit wants you to know how loved you are on this journey, how protected you are on this journey, how much you are like needed too. Like, you are so powerful and so important. And you're a seer. You see beyond. You can see beyond. And you know deep down, you feel in your energetic field that things are changing and expansion is here, and that you do have to let go of this old identity and old things in order to expand into the new. Deep down, you know that. You know that. But we're a little bit tired, guys. Let's be honest. This is an exhausting journey. It's an exhausting journey. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. Like, I've been on this journey, like that big, huge shift in 2012. Like, I definitely felt like that's when my big awakening started. We're always expanding, right? Like, energy isn't just sitting still. It's always expanding. But I've been through those really dark times, but the entire time, and that was the better part, however long 2012 was, almost 15 years ago. The entire time I knew there was some big thing deep down inside of me. I knew there was some big thing I was expanding into. Big in the aspect of shining my light. And I had to surrender to the fact that I wasn't going to know, and that was okay. I just could feel it. And as long as I could feel it, and I had that faith in knowing that I am always taken care of, and that whatever doesn't work out, it's because something better's coming. When I stay in that energy, it just starts feeling so good. And I get into self-care. So and start coming into changes for the better. And progressively over my ascension journey over the years, things have gotten better. Have I had dark moments? Absolutely. But it was because I was fighting against myself. Whenever I kept arguing for my own limitations, or going back to the same old toxic cycles, or forgiving people who continually show me they're going to do the same thing over and over again, that's when it was like, and then I get depressed, and I would go into hiding, and I would stop doing my YouTube posts when I knew I was called to be here, right? And we all get in those spaces. But what Spirit's saying is, when I stop hiding, the world becomes more gentle. And you want to know why? Because when you're out here and you're shining your light and you're doing the work and you're not hiding from what you know you're supposed to expand into, it feels good. It feels like supporting. It feels like you're loved and cared for by the universe and by all the people in your community. And whatever that looks like for you, for whatever your calling is, when you stop hiding and you expand into what that is for you, the Spirit will show you all this beautiful change for the better. And we've gradually seen that on our journey. But when we still have more layers of the onion to peel back, it's hard to be like, it's hard to focus on what the good stuff we have expand into and manifest, and all those synchronicities and all those beautiful things that have validated us on this journey. That's why we're still on it, because we feel so deeply called, right? We feel so deeply convicted by this journey in a beautiful way, in a service connection to all kind of way. This is such a beautiful reading of expansion. And that's what we're here for. So let's get it, right? Fox spirit. Oh my gosh, that's a synchronicity for me. I've been seeing foxes, and I just put a background picture on my phone of a fox, and with the big full moon behind it and pretty orb lights. It's dope. But anyways, it says strategy. Employ the power of your vision and long-term planning to bring your ideas to life. There is such a creative energy in the air, and it's because Spirit's asking us to stop hiding and really step into what we came here to do as light workers, as expanded beings shining our light. And we have to implement this strategy that when we get those intuitive hits from spirit, divine action. That's our turn to take action and not just stay in our comfort zones, which is usually depressing, right? Whenever we get in this stuck state where finding it difficult to move and just staying in our comfort zone, you can get very depressed. That's how I would get in those states. Went back before my huge awakening. I was like a full-time student working full-time. Then I started having it. I was like, go, go, go. There wasn't 1 second of my day where I wasn't going. And it wasn't in a good way. It wasn't in a healthy way. It was very draining. And that's the matrix form of strategy. Spirit's form of strategy is get quiet, self-care, tune in, match this frequency where you can get in this connection with your higher self and quiet your mind from all the drama and talking to people all the time and constantly being busy with work and running here and running there and going to the gym and doing this and doing that. Like, when are you going to get still enough to listen to spirit so you can implement the strategy that you're actually meant here to implement, instead of doing loops in the matrix of things that aren't even serving you, aren't even putting energy into the direction of expansion into the highest version of who you came here to be? So what strategy are you going to follow? Are you going to stay in the same old cycles? Or are you going to follow your divine intuition and what spirit's whispering in your ear in order to expand into a higher version of who you are? Because that's what you're here for. And a higher version of who you are includes all those amazing soul family members and maybe a life partner, or maybe even children, or maybe an off-grid community, or whatever it is for you that you're manifesting. It looks different for everybody. But when you get on your highest timeline, that's where it is. Everybody wants to stay attached to their old identity and expect this new expansive identity to come in. That's not how it works. There really is this shedding. There really is this burning down the old so you can rise like a phoenix from the ashes into this new expansive version of yourself. Whew. So yeah, guys, that's today's message. Please look at the link below for my other YouTube channel if you want to check that out. More inspirational messages on there. And I will additionally be I'm literally editing my first YouTube video for my channel that's more of a vlog that's kind of like follow me around what I'm doing. So I just did a 6.5 mile hike, and I did like a hike and a chat, and I'm in the middle of editing that, and I'm so new to all of it, but I will have that channel up and rolling as well. And when I do, I will link it below. And so be on the lookout for that, guys. If you could like, comment, subscribe to help me with the algorithm, because I just started this specific reading channel up, I would really appreciate it. And feel free to donate if you'd like to support the channel. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one.